They say power doesn't always come with a title. Sometimes it walks quietly, works late, and signs its name at the bottom of billion-dollar contracts without the noise. That was me. I wasn't flashy. I wasn't loud. But I was consistent, effective, and the reason our company's biggest deal, valued at 1.3 billion, was even on the table. Nobody noticed because I didn't demand attention. I didn't need it. I knew my worth, even if they didn't. It started 6 months before that Friday morning phone call that would shake the entire executive floor. I'd been working on a merger deal with Zentech International, a giant in tech automation. They were expanding into North America and wanted a partner with infrastructure, logistics, and market access. That was us. And me? I was the one who nurtured every inch of that relationship. I learned their language, their hesitation points, their CEO's favorite coffee, their CTO's obsession with speed. I worked with their legal, their procurement, their PR, and more. Every time someone had a question, I had already prepared 3 answers. When they had doubt, I gave them data. When they hesitated, I gave them certainty. I was, in every practical sense, the bridge between our company and a deal that would push us into the Fortune 50. But within my own walls, I was invisible. That's the funny part about being reliable. You're often taken for granted. While I was up past midnight on Zoom, calls across time zones, and flying out every other week to meet their board, my name barely came up in internal meetings. Credit drifted upwards, as it always does. My boss, Alan, liked to parade the project as his own when speaking to the board. At first, I let it slide. I thought, let him have it. The results will speak for themselves. But they didn't. Not at first. The deeper the deal got, the more Alan leaned on me. He was way over his head. He didn't understand the technology, didn't understand the subtle cultural differences that Zentech valued. He wanted fast wins and shiny updates for shareholder calls. Meanwhile, I built trust, one delayed email and carefully worded proposal at a time. By the time the deal was 2 weeks from close, Zentech's executive board had a running joke. Alan shows up for photo ops, but you're the one signing the marriage papers. We laughed. I kept quiet. Then came the Monday. It was a grey morning, the kind where even your coffee feels cold. Before the first sip, I walked into the office like always, head down, folder in hand, ready for another 14-hour day. But as soon as I swiped my badge, it blinked red. Security said my access had been revoked. I thought it was a glitch. IT said I was no longer in the system. I called HR, thinking it was a clerical error. But the woman on the other end hesitated before saying, "You should probably talk to your manager." So I did. Alan didn't even look surprised when I entered his glass-walled office. He stood, closed the door, and smiled like he was doing me a favor. "We've decided to restructure," he said. "You've done good work, really. But Zentech is basically closed, right? There's nothing left but formalities. Legal will handle the wrap-up. We're moving in a different direction internally, and your position has been re-evaluated." He used every buzzword he could to sugarcoat it. But I heard the truth beneath it. He didn't want me to be around when the credit came rolling in. And I knew exactly why. Alan had planned to walk into the Friday press conference as the man behind the 1.3B deal, the hero. He thought my usefulness had expired. So he removed me before I could cast a shadow over his spotlight. I sat there silent. No anger, no pleading, no last-minute explanations. I simply nodded and walked out. But I didn't walk far, because what Alan didn't know, and what would become very, very important, was that the deal wasn't finished. Not really. Sure, the numbers were final, and the contracts were almost ready. But Zentech had one final clause, buried on page 87 of the main agreement, a contingency clause requiring a final validation. Call with their lead negotiator before signing. And that lead negotiator was me. Not Alan, not legal. Me! And I hadn't made the call yet. I went home that Monday afternoon, with 100 thoughts racing through my head. I could have called Zentech immediately. I could have warned them. I could have exposed everything. But I didn't. Not yet. I needed them to feel it first. I needed Alan to stand up there at the podium, all puffed up, expecting fireworks, only to get silence. So I stayed quiet. I watched. Tuesday morning, emails started flying internally. Final countdown. Zentech green light. Press invite ready. Alan gave an interview to a trade magazine, hinting that this week could mark a historical moment. He was already basking in the glory of something he hadn't actually delivered. And I sat at my kitchen table, laptop open, waiting. Wednesday came, and whispers started trickling from Zentech. A couple of their directors pinged me on WhatsApp, asking if everything was on track. I replied vaguely, "I've been told I'm no longer with the company." They were confused. One of them replied, "What the hell is Alan thinking?" Thursday morning, I got a call from Leanne, the Zentech COO. She didn't mince words. "Did they fire you?" "Yes." "And they didn't tell us?" "No." There was a pause. Then just 4 words. "We're pausing everything." By Thursday afternoon, the entire deal was frozen. Alan had no idea why. He was scrambling. Emails were going unanswered. Conference calls were rescheduled. Zentech's board went radio silent. Our legal team panicked. The press team pulled back their pre-scheduled posts. And Alan, he looked like a deer in headlights on the executive floor. I heard through the grapevine, he even blamed IT for the technical delay. I waited. Then came Friday. At exactly 8:02 a.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. "Hello? Is this Marcus?" A voice. Deep, steady, commanding. "Yes." "This is Charles Ayres, CEO of Zentech." I sat up straight. "Good morning. I've heard what happened. Is it true you were removed from your position before our final validation?" "Yes, sir." "I also heard you were the architect of this entire deal." "I was." He didn't speak for a few seconds. Then, "Would you be available to fly to New York today? I'd like to meet face to face. I want to know the man they tried to erase." 4 hours later, I was on a flight. By 4:30 p.m., I was sitting in a private boardroom in Manhattan, across from Zentech's top brass, including Charles himself. They didn't ask for a presentation. They already knew everything. They just wanted to hear it from me, how I structured the tiered incentives, how I aligned our capabilities with their roadmap, how I overcame the cultural hurdles between our teams. I told them everything. At the end of the meeting, Charles stood and extended his hand. "We no longer wish to partner with your former employer," he said plainly. "But we still want this expansion. With you." I blinked. "What are you saying?" "I'm offering you a new position. CEO of our North American division. Independent, fully funded. You build the infrastructure. You lead the operation. You own the deal." I didn't speak. I couldn't. He added, "Your name deserves to be on the headline, not buried under someone else's." That night, I checked into a hotel room in Manhattan and watched the industry headlines explode. Zentech cancels 1.3B merger, cites trust issues. Inside sources reveal deal was pulled after key exec departure. Alan Granger silent after shock deal collapse. By Monday, Alan was forced to resign. Stock dropped 7%. Internal chaos broke loose. And me? I was already interviewing candidates to join my new executive team under Zentech North America. The press eventually caught up with the real story. A quiet professional, fired just days before closing a 1.3B deal, now leading a rival powerhouse with international backing. Some called it karma, others called it luck. I call it patience. Because in this world, you don't always need to raise your voice. You just need to wait until the right person is listening. And on that Friday morning, someone finally did.